The Miami Marlins just wrapped up the best month by winning percentage in franchise history. Last night's win in Colorado felt like a culmination, or more accurately, a coronation of a contender.
You are Locked On Marlins, your daily podcast on the Miami Marlins.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Ethan and I with you, and welcome into another edition of Locked On Marlins. Locked On is now the #1 sports podcast network, celebrating 10 years of your team every day. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. It is a slam-packed show for you on this Wednesday. We'll break down the news of Karson Milbrandt's selection to the All-Star Futures game in Philadelphia. I'll preview tonight's third game of the Marlins-Rockies series with another Philadelphia hopeful in Max Meyer going for win number 10 on the season. We're going to dive into the news of Liam Hicks coming back, Anthony Bender's IL stint, and Graham Pauley's option. We'll debate if that was the right choice. But we're going to start with the latest offensive exploits of the hottest team in the sport. With the Marlins' 14-3 win and 21-hit onslaught last night, the Miami Marlins have cemented a 20-win month of June, and they have done what no other team in MLB history has done before. They became just the first team to enter a calendar month 8+ games under 500 and end that month with 6 games over 500 or more. That is according to the Elias Sports Bureau. I simply cannot believe that statement. If you had told me at the end of May, when this team was 8 games under 500, that we were going to be having this conversation, I simply would not have believed you. But look at what this month has brought. A 20-win month, just the second time in franchise history that the Marlins have won 20 or more games. You'd have to go back to that doomed 2012 season when in May of that year, before things really went south, they won 21 games in that month. That was the most in franchise history. But this season, at least by winning percentage, with the team winning 20 games and losing 6 compared to 21-8 back in 2012, this is the best month by winning percentage in franchise history. The 53 run differential, also the best in club history. This team is now 6 games over 500 for the first time since the end of that 2023 season. That team obviously went on to claim a National League wildcard spot. No other team in baseball has claimed 20 wins in a month yet this season. And last night, with the back-to-back wins over the Rockies to start out this series, the first time with a back-to-back double-digit runs scored for the Fish since that 2023 season as well. And so as we enter Wednesday, the Marlins are 46-40. That puts them just 4.5 games back of first place Atlanta. I never thought that was ever going to be a conversation I'd entertain as well. I thought the Braves were going to run away with this thing. The Phillies, for their credit, are still in second place, a couple of games ahead of the Marlins, but the Fish, for their purposes, sit tied for third in the wild card standings right now, with the Cardinals essentially deadlocked with them as we enter what will soon be the second half officially of the season. But digging deeper into last night's win for Miami, easily the best offensive game of the year for the Marlins to this point. A season high in runs with 14 hits as well, 21 of them for the Fish, multiple 4-hit games to go around. 6 Marlins finished with multi-hit games, 7 drove in at least 1 run, and this lineup yesterday didn't even include Otto Lopez. How about that? Other Marlins found ways to get the job done. The power was there as well at Coors Field. Owen Caissie, Joe Mack, Xavier all went deep. For Mack, his home run, which made the Marlins get to 10 runs, 450 feet at the time, was the longest home run of the season until roughly 45 minutes later, and 453 feet later from Owen Caissie, who put the Marlins up with a 13 spot. And for Javi, his home run kind of came on the wrong night. He was looking for the home run yesterday. He needed the cycle and just needed the home run to do it, but I don't think he's complaining. His 3-run shot earlier in the ball game was terrific as well. For Mack and for Caissie, though, I want to lock in on them in particular because they're the second Marlins duo to crush homers of at least 450 feet in the same game. You'd have to go back 10 years. Christian Yelich. Giancarlo Stanton did it on May 6th, 2016. And in my opinion, Caissie and Mack are among the biggest reasons why June went the way it did for the Miami Marlins. There's certainly a lot of people you can thank, a lot of people you can look to as the heroes, the pitching staff, of course, in their own right. But these two individuals in particular, for Owen, after a rough April, May and June have been a different story. Combined with those 2 months, an 850 OPS after a 469 OPS in April. And then for Mack, not only has he been contributing at the plate, but behind the plate as well. No doubt about that. Last night, he threw out his MLB high 15th base runner since he made his debut on May the 4th. The Marlins used to be so incredibly weak in that department. Mack comes up, Gus goes down, everything changed for this team. The perspective around the league shifted. Joe Mack has been a big piece of that. And now the bat has caught up as well. He was kind of treading water there in May. That OPS was hovering around 500, but his OPS for the month of June, 904, and his home run last night certainly was no cheapie. It's indicative of this coaching staff and the front office staff in a good way, because they were able to give these young guns time to develop at the big league level, which has proven to work for this group. You know, there was a lot of chatter, a lot of talk like, hey, Caissie's struggling. It's April. He's getting used to the big leagues. He's getting used to his new organization. Things weren't working out in the beginning, but I credit everyone involved here with sticking with Caissie. They didn't really, it wasn't as much sticking with Mack in that sense, but especially with Caissie, sticking with him and allowing him to figure things out and turn things around at the big league level. It's like the Marlins always claim that development does not stop at the major league level, and I think that certainly has been the case with those two guys in particular, and we still have so much yet to see from both of them. I feel like this team's offensive identity has fully formed this month. After all we had to rely on for the first 2 months of the season seemingly was Otto Lopez, Xavier Edwards, and Liam Hicks, everyone else has finally started to come through, Kyle Stowers included. We're still waiting to see that from Jacob Marcy, obviously. We'll see what the Fish wind up doing with him. But otherwise last night, Griffin Conine, a 4-hit night for the first time in his career. He set the tone with an RBI double to open up the scoring, and he really looks like he's settled in since returning from the IL that kept him off the field for a couple of months with that torn left hamstring. Of course, he had the home run in Game 1 of this series. He seemingly loves to hit at Coors Field, so great to see Griff come back and make his impact and make his presence felt. Xavier Edwards also had a 4-hit night, his first of the season. And coming off the injured list, Liam Hicks was able to get it done as well with a multi-hit performance. And he carries over a hit streak that he took with him to the IL. That hit streak is now up to 11 games. Outside of the offense, the pitching was able to get it done as well last night. Eury Perez was great. His second start since coming off the IL. He allowed just 1 run on 2 hits, 5 1/3 innings. And the only real mistake that he made was in that first inning. Gave up a solo home run to Mickey Moniak on a fastball that he left up in the zone. Going into that start, I was a little bit concerned because he relies so much on the fastball. I was thinking if he doesn't locate it well, he's going to get burned on that. And he did at first, but he did settle in after that. So props to Perez for getting the job done in that regard. All 8 of his strikeouts were swinging. His sweeper was excellent. He threw that 26% of the time, got 7 whiffs on that, and 3 of his punch-outs came on that pitch. The fastball was nearly touching 100 last night. He struck out 4 with that pitch as well. As well as the bullpen was able to come through. Blake Bacher cleaned up that 6th inning, and then with a massive lead in the bank, the Marlins finally put in Zach Brixey into pitch on this his 3rd individual call-up. So congrats to Brixey for making his Marlins debut. Hopefully someone that the Fish can turn to in some spots here with now Anthony Bender on the injured list. We'll get into that in our second segment here today. But for Brixey, a little bit shaky in his debut. I think he would tell you that. Was a little bit off with the command, but wound up only giving up 1 earned run. Gave the Fish 2 innings of relief. And then Cade Gibson got the 9th. Got knocked around a little bit, but ultimately he was able to nail it down. And again, I just want to give credit where credit is due to this pitching staff as a whole for the month of June that was. We're going to look back on this month, no matter what happens in the aftermath of all this. We're going to look back at this month as one of the more fun times watching this team and seeing this group gel together here in 2026. And hopefully the good vibes keep rolling. Hopefully the good numbers for this pitching staff keep rolling, because the Marlins pitching staff put together baseball bests for ERA last month, just over 3.01 to be exact. Opponents' batting average at 220, opponents' OPS at 639. All were best in all of Major League Baseball. And for a starting pitching staff that was really depleted going into this month, that looked to be the biggest area of concern for this team, and it wound up somehow being one of its strengths behind Sandy, behind Max, behind Tyler Phillips, and Ryan Gusto filling in, behind Link Bacher doing what he did with the occasional bullpen game the Marlins went with after losing Robbie Snelling and Perez and Jansen Junk for extended time. The staff rose to the occasion, and the starters still managed to rank second in ERA last month, 3.18, sixth in opponent's batting average, and fourth in OPS. Besides Sandy and Max combining to go 10-0 in their 11 starts last month, I want to give a particular shout out to Lake Bacher again, John King. Really, everyone in the bullpen deserves a shout out in some form or fashion. Yes, even Pete Fairbanks to a certain extent. He was certainly the rockiest of the relievers, but he did nail down 6 saves. If you haven't been able to tell by now, Jamie Goldman and I were definitely half glass full kind of guys when it comes to this Marlins team. But for Lake Bacher, the most innings pitched out of anyone who was not a regular starter this month, and he was absolutely fantastic. 16 and 1/3 innings for him this month, and just the 3 earned runs allowed. Credit where credit is due to Michael Peterson, Calvin Fauché, Bender as well, getting the job done. Even some call-ups in William Kempner and Dax Fulton were also able to pan out as well. So, moving forward for this team, it's important to point out the strength of schedule. Saw this in a tweet from Kyle Seeloff today. I wanted to make sure that I mentioned it. Through the end of June, the Fish had the 5th toughest strength of schedule in Major League Baseball, facing opponents that were combined to go .508 with their winning percentage so far this season. For July through the end of the season, the Marlins have the 10th toughest strength of schedule in Major League Baseball. So hopefully that does wound up being something they can build off of here as we get into the month of July. But coming up next, the Marlins made a series of moves yesterday with Hicks returning from the IL. I've seen the discourse online disliking the fact that Graham Pauley was the one who was sent down. The Marlins keep Leo Jimenez on this roster. I don't really agree with that necessarily. I'll tell you why, though, the Marlins made this move. My reasoning comes up right after this. There's nothing like watching a Marlins game, and it's even better when you get to watch it live. The only problem, getting tickets can feel like a grind at times. Long queues, surprise fees, prices jumping at checkout. That's where there's Game Time. The Game Time app gives fans the advantage with constant innovation. It's how you unlock amazing tickets and experiences in just a few taps. And it's simple to use as well. The Game Time guarantee means you get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time at the best price. And here's the best part. Fees are included in the price you see. What you see is what you pay, period. The seat views feature is huge. You can see the panoramic view from your exact seat before you buy it. And Zone Deals let you pick the section and save even more while Game Time selects the seat. You can follow your favorite team and get alerts when new deals drop. And we know there's always good deals on Marlins games. You can certainly find them on Game Time. Although, with the way this team is playing right now, we'll see how that changes. 2 taps, and it's done. No stress, no hidden fees, just great seats in minutes. That's what makes it so easy to decide last minute to hit a game. Take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Game Time and download the Game Time app. Create an account and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. A message about the Everydayer Club before we dig into our second segment, because I'm giving it to you for free for a full month. If you go to lockedonmarlins.supercast.com and use code FINALLY, you'll unlock every episode ad-free and get access to our private listener group chat. Tap the link in the show notes down below and use code FINALLY to claim your free month. Thank you so much for making Locked On the #1 podcast network as we celebrate a decade of Locked On. With that, let's talk about some of the moves the Marlins made yesterday. Liam Hicks is back off the injured list as a result. Graham Pauley was sent down, with Anthony Bender is also now out on the injured list. Zach Brixey being recalled as well. So that foursome of moves was made yesterday. The Marlins reinstating Hicks after a lower back strain. That's a big bat that the Marlins are getting back here. The team leader in home runs and RBIs. Unfortunately, it was not a long time on the shelf. It was more of a precautionary IL stint than anything else. And if yesterday's any indication, with his multi-hit effort, he looks like he's back to his usual self. So that gives the Marlins another first base option, their primary DH back, and a guy that they can have as the backup to Joe Mack as well, with Mack, of course, getting the majority of the catching reps. The other corresponding move, Pauley selected as the one to go back to AAA Jacksonville. So what does this mean? It means the Marlins are going to carry 3 catchers on the active roster if you include Brian Navarreto, who has gotten into a couple of games this year for the Fish, made a start during the last homestand, caught the last few innings in yesterday's ball game as well. So, with that said, that begs the question, why is Graham Pauley going down again, and why is Leo Jimenez sticking around? We've talked about Jimenez and his lack of production on this show before, and to be honest with you, I really don't have a good answer for this. Not a lot of people do. Here's the best I can do, though. When you think about the everyday composition of this Marlins lineup, it is very left-handed heavy. You've got Stowers in there, you've got Hicks in there, regardless of what kind of handed pitcher is on the mound, and we know how much the Marlins like to use the splits. Aside from Stowers and Hicks, Joe Mack, Xavier Edwards is a switch hitter, Griffin Conine, Owen Caissie, Jacob Marcy. That, in turn, makes the Marlins want to have a right-handed heavy bench to be able to supplement those guys, pinch hit late, guys like Navarreto, Esteury Ruiz, when he's not starting, Javier Sonoja, Heriberto Hernandez, again when he's not starting, and Leo Jimenez. So in that regard, I guess Graham Pauley becomes the odd man out, but I disagree with demoting him because of the fact that he just came back from a rather extended period in Jacksonville, and the other fact is that he came up big for this Marlins team over the last few days. He basically won Friday's game in St. Louis single-handedly. It's not going to be great for his confidence, I would say, either, because he had that big double in that game, wound up scoring in that same 8th inning as well after the rain delay, got his hand in there ahead of a tag play. He came up immediately and made an impact. And you got to remember, there is a 10-day minimum waiting period for players to be selected again after being sent down, barring an injury or a couple of other exceptions. So now Pauley has to go down to AAA for a minimum of 10 days. And, it's just something that I don't agree with when it comes to a guy's confidence level. He had just come back, and he had been producing. And moreover, the Marlins appear to be really, really high on Leo Jimenez. For what reason? I really wish I could tell you. I really wish I could understand that for myself. Because for me, what Leo's done in this series in particular, yes, he's driven in a couple of runs. But that's not enough to move the needle for me. Because, look, is everyone benefiting from the Coors atmosphere in this series? Probably to some extent. But I haven't seen enough production from Jimenez to justify a 3-month stay on this active roster. Especially when the Marlins routinely use him at the DH position. When he was initially brought into this team, first week of the season, they picked him up off waivers. And he was brought in to simply back up Xavier Edwards and Otto Lopez up the middle. And they're using him mostly as a DH. Now, granted, Pauley does have an option year remaining, and Leo does not. They would have to put him on waivers. That's another thing that they're considering. But here's my bold prediction. Eventually, the Marlins are going to get rid of him. The New York Mets are going to sign him, and that will complete the baseball circle of life that Austin Slater and Christopher Morel have both gone on this season. So I'd be, if I'm missing something, drop it down in the comments below. But for my money, Leo Jimenez, is kind of still wasting space on this active roster. But the other move of consequence for the Fish, Anthony Bender to the 15-day IL with a right shin stress reaction, likely to return in the middle of this month at the start of the second half. And it feels like every time, this Marlins team gets somebody back, this team loses someone as well. Hicks for Conine, now Bender for Hicks. Marlins not catching a ton of breaks this year when it comes to that. It's the second straight season that a right leg injury has sidelined Bender, who did not pitch after August 17th of last year due to a right tibial stress reaction. He's been fantastic this year. There's no hiding that out of this Fish bullpen as the setup man. 35 outings, a 2.62 ERA. The whip is below 1 with 8 holds and a couple of saves. And since April 20th, he's allowed just 3 runs over 26 and 2/3 innings. That's across 26 appearances for him. In the meantime, Michael Peterson, a guy who does lead Miami in holds with 13. Calvin Fauché with his 9 holds this year are probably going to be looked to here over these next couple of weeks to come up in those high leverage situations, be that setup man that Bender was, and try to bridge that gap to Pete Fairbanks for whatever that is worth. The corresponding move was calling up Zach Brixey for the 3rd time this year. The other 2 times he'd been called up, he hadn't gotten into a game. So finally, 3rd time's the charm for Brixey, who had been called up with Max Meyer going on the bereavement list, but again, never pitched. For Jacksonville this year, I've been able to watch Zach Brixey toss. He had a great start to the season. He was lights out. Things got a little bit more mortal for him over the last couple of months, all told, across 33 innings, a 4.22 ERA for Zach Brixey. And before we hit our next break, and we'll talk about Max Meyer's start coming up next, as well as Milbrandt's selection to the Futures game, I wanted to bring up one other name for your consideration today, and that is Jack Ralston, a guy who is not on the 40-man roster, but a guy who has quietly put together an unbelievable season in Jacksonville this year. In case you're new here, I work for the team on the broadcast staff, so I get to watch these guys on a regular basis. Ralston, a 1.24 ERA in 43 innings this year, just 5 earned runs in that span, with a really nasty splitter that has come a long way this year. Again, not on the 40-man roster, but someone Fish fans should be aware of, someone I'd like to see get a shot this year. The Marlins picked him up on the minor league free agency wire over the offseason. He had spent the previous 6 years in the Cardinals system. So just wanted to give you guys a little Jack Ralston update as well. But coming up next, the Marlins will give the ball to Max Meyer tonight as he looks to improve to 10-0 this season and give the Marlins their 4th straight series win and set sail on the month of July. All that coming up right after this. The biggest stage in world soccer is here, and every match feels like it has the potential for a memorable moment. One goal can completely change the energy of a game, shift momentum, and alter the outcome in an instant. That's what makes tournament soccer so exciting from the opening whistle to the final kick. And now FanDuel is giving fans another reason to stay locked into every match with every goal pays. Bet on a match and get bonus bets for every goal scored in that match. More goals means more bonus bets, all you. Now that Team USA is into the knockout round, I can't wait to watch them play Bosnia and Herzegovina tonight. I love these matchups where both teams are aggressive offensively because those games can open up fast. The more chances being created, the more exciting the match becomes from beginning to end. And now you get to benefit from each goal scored. From the opening whistle to the final kick, let there be goals on FanDuel. Visit FanDuel.com to get started right now. All right, let's jump into tonight. Max Meyer gets the ball against Kyle Freeland. It is another late start, 8:40 p.m. for the Fish. They'll wrap up the series tomorrow with Michael Lorenzen going opposite, who we don't know yet, for the Fish. That will be a 3:10 matchup tomorrow, and then 3 games coming up in Sacramento against the A's to wrap up this 10-game road trip. But so far, the Marlins are 4-1 on this trip, and for Max, he'll be looking for his first winning decision against the Rockies in his career in this, his 4th start. He did face them earlier this season, went 5 innings, gave up 5 hits and 3 runs, walked 2 as well in that start. His only previous start in Coors, he gave up 4 runs over 5 innings. So hopefully he can keep the damage to a minimum today and continue his march to Philadelphia. Because if Max Meyer's not going to Philly and representing the Fish at the All-Star game this year, I'm going to have some issues with that because his June was fantastic. 6 earned runs in 30 1/3 innings this year, a 1.78 ERA for Max last month, 33 strikeouts to just 11 walks. One guy to watch today for the Colorado Rockies is Hunter Goodman, who has homered twice against Max Meyer in his career and already once in this series. So if Max can keep Hunter Goodman's bat quiet, hopefully he can have a good day out there as well. He'll go opposite Kyle Freeland, who in his career against the Marlins has posted a 3.80 ERA in 10 starts. in 47 and one-third innings pitched, a 4-2 record against the Fish for Freeland in his career. This year has not been great for him. He's actually on pace for the worst season of his career. Guys like him are rare. Guys like him who've pitched 10 seasons at Coors Field. My goodness, 10 years as a Colorado Rocky. First couple of seasons of his career were great in 17 and 18. The last time thought the Rockies are really that good, but he's on pace for the worst season of his career up to this point, a 7.50 ERA in 2026 across 72 innings. Wanted to also mention the big news of today in that Karson Milbrandt is going to represent the Marlins at this year's All-Star Futures game Sunday, July 12th at 12 p.m. on NBC in Philadelphia. Milbrandt has risen to the top crop of Marlins pitching prospects this year, along the likes of Snelling and Thomas White. He started out in Double-A this year, put up a 4-1 record, a 1.34 ERA in 47 innings, won back-to-back Southern League Pitcher of the Week awards, and at one point had a 27-inning scoreless streak this season as well. Now he's getting some love from the prospect gurus out there. He's now the Marlins' number 4 prospect and the number 98 prospect in baseball, both per MLB Pipeline. And he was promoted to Jacksonville a month ago, and in 4 starts since his promotion, we've been able to watch him. The walks have been an issue still. He's working on that, but still a 2.33 ERA in his 4 starts, just 5 earned runs over 19 and one-third innings with 19 strikeouts. His 1.63 ERA for the season and 1.12 WHIP lead all pitchers in the Marlins system, and it's certainly well-earned for Milbrandt, who's just 22 years old. This is a young guy, and he should factor into the club's 2027 plans. Last year, the Marlins had Joe Mack and Thomas White representing them at the Futures game, so just goes to show you, the Futures game could be a pretty quick turnaround for a guy to show up the next season and make a big impact. I have no doubt that Thomas White would have made his debut this year had he not been hurt. He is expected to miss the rest of the season with, I believe, a shoulder injury. So, looking forward to watching Karson Milbrandt on national TV in a couple of weeks. But just wanted to give you guys a reminder of the Eibe's Eye and the Goldie's Guarantee entering this Rocky series, because the Eibe's Eye already cashed in. I predicted an Owen Caissie home run yesterday, and yeah, we got the longest Owen Caissie home run of the season. Heck, we got the longest Marlins home run of the season. So, Eibe's Eye is already in the bank. Hopefully, the Goldie's Guarantee can be so as well. My good friend Jamie Goldman, who will be back with you tomorrow, he predicted a 2 extra base hit series for Esteury Ruiz. So, hopefully, he can get the job done there. But I wanted to close out today's Locked on Marlins show with a call to action here. Our good friends in Venezuela need our help. Wanted to mention what the Marlins are doing in order to help those in need. I've put up a graphic on the screen for our audio audience. Would highly recommend going to the Marlins social media pages, and you can find the QR code there to scan and help with donations, because pardon me, the Marlins and Bruce Sherman have already donated $100,000 to help those in need in Venezuela for some relief efforts after the devastating earthquakes that struck the country earlier this week. And now you can also help if you're going to any games in the next homestand when the Mariners are in town, July 7th through the 9th. You can donate an item at the home plate entrance on game day. You can get $5 tickets as a result. And the Marlins are making a $5 donation in addition for every specialty ticket that is sold for this game or for that week. It includes non-perishable foods, household needs, toiletries, pet needs, and you can scan that QR code there that is on the screen right now to see the full list of items they're looking for, and to also purchase tickets that are going to help out with the efforts to help out the group in Venezuela. So our thoughts continue to be with those that are affected, and of course with Javier Sinoja, who's been a big part of this Marlins team this year. It's certainly been a tough week for him and for all Venezuelans who are playing in Major League Baseball right now with heavy hearts. So just wanted to send some good thoughts in their direction. We wish the other members of the Venezuelan baseball family, both in the Marlins organization and beyond, absolutely all the best moving forward. But that's going to do it for this episode today on Locked on Marlins. Thank you so much for tuning in here again. Jamie Goldman will be back with you tomorrow to give you his reaction to Game 3 in Denver. Make sure you subscribe and follow Locked on Marlins so you get all of the latest episodes. You can find the show on social media at LO_Marlins. You can find me out there as well at EibePXP. That is EIBEPXP. If you never miss an episode, the Everydayer Club is built for you. Get Locked On Marlins ad-free, plus members-only Discord access and more. Head to lockedonmarlins.supercast.com to join the club. And for those of you on video, we'll send you now to the first ever 24/7 National Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel. On audio for your second listen, go check out Locked On MLB. Have a wonderful Wednesday, ladies and gents, and we'll talk to you tomorrow right here on Locked On Marlins. Go Fish.